Apex Legends is a really unique battle royale, and its success is unique not only in the sense that it's record-breaking, but also because the game launched without a core feature that exists in basically any popular battle royale, which is a solo playlist. Because of the lack of solos, players are forced to either get some friends or try their luck in random queues. I usually play in random queues, so I know how much of a pain in the ass it can be to find good teammates. Thankfully though, the ping system makes it so that you can at least communicate with your team, even if they're stupid as hell, but at times, it isn't enough. And it can get frustrating constantly getting shitty teammates after shitty teammates. So as a result, many players have been asking for a solo playlist in Apex Legends. I for a while also wanted solos, but the more I've thought about it, the more I've realized that solos in Apex Legends probably won't actually be that great or worth it. What I mean by this is you have to consider the fact that there's a reason it didn't launch with solos. It was a pretty risky decision for Respawn to not put solos into a battle royale, so there's obviously a reason that they did it. And the reason I think they did it is because Apex Legends is meant to be a team-based game. Part of Apex Legends' appeal is literally the team dynamic the game creates with the legends. Solos obviously removes any teamwork, meaning part of what makes the game enjoyable will just be gone. Also, on top of the team dynamic disappearing from solos, there's a bunch of other features in the game that also would have to be removed from solos. The knockdown shield would be completely useless, the respawn beacons would also have to be removed, and the ping system would just be useless as hell. I mean, why would you ping a gun for yourself? You would obviously just pick it up or something. But also something minor, but still something to consider, is the fact that your legend usually only talks when it's speaking to your teammates. So there'd also be the issue of whether or not your legend would just be dead-ass quiet in solos, or if they would just ramble on to themselves. Either way, it's gonna take away from a little bit of the immersion, so that's something to consider, although of course it's minor. So solos will lose out on a lot of core features, but on top of that, the balancing will be a mess. Part of what makes the legends balanced in the first place is the fact that you have teammates that can add on to your legend, meaning you can pick a weaker legend and have it balanced out by your teammate picking a better one, and vice versa. But in solos, there's going to inevitably be legends that are more overpowered and desirable to pick, and it'll be much more apparent since you'll only have your own legend to rely on. The system just isn't made for solos in my opinion. But regardless, if Apex Legends attempts to implement solos, it's not going to be nearly as good as the base game, guaranteed. Solos will inevitably be missing a variety of features, and ultimately, the game wasn't made for solos. So while it's understandable to want solos in Apex Legends, I think we should all keep in mind the fact that it's ultimately not going to be as good as the core game of Teams of 3. It for sure won't have the same feel because it wasn't built the same. Apex Legends was ultimately designed to be a team-based game, and solos is just basically taking a whole shit on that fact, and it's just not going to be as enjoyable. So as much as I am excited for the possible implementation of solos so that I can get rid of all the shitty teammates that I have to encounter, I have to recognize the fact that it's just not going to be nearly as fun because the game wasn't designed to be played that way. So, I don't know, I'm pretty mixed on the whole whether or not solos are a good or bad thing for Apex Legends. I don't think it's gonna take away from the player base. Like, I know I've heard some people try and say that adding in solos will mean that finding matches will be impacted, which I just don't think is the case because there's literally like 50 million players. So I don't think a lack of players or splitting up the player base is an issue. More so, the issue is just whether or not the same sort of quality will be retained in solos. And I personally think that it's inevitable that some quality and some enjoyment of the game is going to be lost in solos. So I don't know, it's just not going to be as good as everyone thinks it'll be. So yeah, that about does it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Also, comment down below what you guys think. Do you think solos will be good or bad for Apex Legends? And if so, why? And yeah, I'll see you all next time.